Welcome everyone. Hello Facebook. I'm so happy to be here today with Parvati Devi, Vedic astrologer, and I will just make her visible for you. One moment. Let's see, I will spotlight her video. There we go. So now I hope you can see her as well.
DEVީS. Hello.
Beautiful, so beautiful to have you here, Devi. And so this day we will have, you probably recognize her if you've been in you're a member of the sisterhood, in the Be Woman Sisterhood Facebook group, because she's been having updates there and monthly, and also every new moon and full moon she has these beautiful video updates. So, and you know her from Navaratri festival as well. And yeah, so we are so happy to have you here, Parvati Devi. And I will also read a little introduction if there is someone who don't know her yet. So Parvati is an experienced healer, guide, and coach who uses the knowledge and practice of Vedic astrology, Vedic counseling, Ayurveda, and Vedanta to help clients to see the root of their karmic life obstacles, and gives clear and effective remedial measures on how to help overcome them quickly. She also points back to your place of power and guides you to realize how to access for your personal healing journey. To know thyself is the cornerstone of her work. Many times we become confused, unclear, and question what we are doing, where we are going, or what is really happening in our life. Parvati's gift is to help you clearly see what is unfolding on your life path and why. A Vedic life coaching session can help you understand your karmic blocks, your unconscious beliefs, and your challenging life situations in a new light, in order to help you move through them with wisdom, clarity, and confidence. So this is her, dear sisters, and so happy to have you here. So happy to have you here. So this talk will be like a little foundation, and I will ask some fundamental questions about Vedic astrology. And so, yeah. Do you have anything you would like to share first before I start to dig in?
Yes, thank you so much, Devi. And thank you everybody for inviting me to be here. It is a great pleasure and such an honor to be speaking about such a beautiful, vast, fascinating subject that I just so delighted to be able to share with all of you. And yeah, it's truly an honor and a pleasure. So thank you for inviting me. And yeah, let's get started.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm also so excited because this is a big interest of mine. So yeah, this is gonna be amazing to hear your view of this. So how is Vedic astrology different from Western astrology is my first question, because I think many here, we are more maybe familiar if you come from Europe or America, like with the Western astrology. So how are these two practices or knowledges, or how are they different?
So that's a very, very good opening question, actually, to start with, because we are all used to, we identify with our sun signs, now I'm a Leo, and now I'm a, Scorpio, and oh, I'm like this, Scorpio, I'm so intense, and Leo, I'm so proud. And, this science does not negate, first of all, the Western modality. The way I like to say it to people is, it's like we have the same letters. It's like two different languages. Let's say English and Spanish, right? And we have the same letters. We use all the same alphabet, but we put it together in a different way, but we say the same thing. So it's a different language of the stars. It's a different way to speak, a different way to read, a different way to interact with the cosmos. The planets are the same, the signs are the same, but how do we look at it, from what perspective and from what vantage point is very different.
Interesting. Yeah. And is it harder to understand? Is it somehow more complicated?
It's I'll just put it this way. So I started learning astrology, and I studied Western astrology to begin with, because I think that's our introduction to the cosmos. It's what is most available. And up until very, very recently, Jyotish, it's as it's known in India, as it's known in Sanskrit, it's Vedic astrology is known as Jyotish. And what Jyotish literally means is the ability, one who sees, one who is able to understand the light. Jyoti is light. So a Jyotish is one who can understand the light. What is it that the light is revealing to us? There's many different limbs. There's the 4 books of the Vedas, right, which we all know. Then there's many different limbs of the Vedas. They're called Vedangas, right? And one is the ears of the Vedas, one is the mouth of the Vedas. Jyotish are the eyes of the Vedas. And it makes sense, because we're seeing where's the light coming? The light is coming through our eyes, right? So it's the eyes of the Veda. So it's not harder, it's just a more lineage-based, rooted science. And the Western astrology, at one point in time, a very long time ago, the Hellenistic astrology, the Persian astrology, the Hindu astrology, or the Vedic astrology, it was all very similar. I think, a lot of the information went back and forth between India, between Persia, into Europe, into Greece, into like that whole sort of area. There was a lot of trade happening there. So there was a lot of similarity. But throughout the eons and eons, and we had the big burning of the library and a loss of so much knowledge when in Alexandria, right? Like so much knowledge was lost there and broken there. As well as the advent of the entire Roman kind of conquest and patriarchy, right? And the Greek mythology was very similar. The Greek had all these gods, the whole Greek pantheon, and they were very human-like, and there were the goddesses and the gods, and they were fighting, and there was drama, and it's very similar to the way that the ancient Vedas and in Hinduism, we have all the gods and the goddesses and everything. But the Romans came in and they did quite a number on us as well. So a lot of that knowledge was lost in the transference, right? What we have with the Vedic astrology is we're very fortunate to have an unbroken thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of building upon the knowledge, and especially with Vedic astrology, or Jyotish, it's very research oriented. It's one of the big keys in Vedic astrology. We do research papers in my school. I come from a lineage-based background, and our Param Guru is from a whole family, a long line of Jyotishis, and they used to be the council to the kings back in the day. And so we have a lot of research that we do. We can research health. We can look at Ayurjyotish, so medical astrology. We can look at all like gemstones, and we can put together case studies and see people's charts and see, okay, wow, all these people had this in common. So this combination, this yoga, which is a combination of planets, can possibly cause this sort of illness. And it's like thousands of years of research that we get to fall back on, because we are lucky to have this sort of unbroken stream of knowledge. So that's one thing, just historically speaking. But on a very basic level, right? There's a few key points that it's really important to understand. And one of them is just how Western astrology puts so much importance on your sun sign. And Vedic astrology puts importance on everything, but the sun is not as heavily weighted. Why is that? Well, very simply, one simple reason is that the sun is in one sign for 30 days. So there's many people that are born under that same sun sign. And yes, we can all share a few traits, but when we do Jyotish, we really want to hone in on your particular blueprint. What makes you, and what is unfolding in your life, right? We can give traits, personality traits, just like the sun shines on everybody. It's not personal to you. In Jyotish, the sun signifies the soul or the Atma, right? So in reality, the soul isn't personal. The soul is universal. It dwells within everything. So we look at the moon, right? Because the moon in Jyotish signifies our mind, our emotions, our perceptions, and it's very unique to all of us. I can perceive one thing in a different way than you. This is the moon. The moon is in one sign for 2.5 days, but we use techniques of the nakshatras, which the moon moves one nakshatra. The fixed stars in the skies are called the nakshatras. It goes through one nakshatra every day. So that also helps to narrow it. And then within the nakshatra, there's 4 padas, or 4 different feet of that. So it could get very precise what is the quality of our emotional makeup by checking the moon and checking the nakshatra of the moon and checking the nakshatra pada. And tell me if I get too advanced, because I want everybody to understand. Okay, so but I just would like to explain the basics. And then even more than that, sun 30 days, moon 2.5 days, the rising sign changes every 2 hours. And the rising sign is what is coming up on the eastern horizon at the time of your birth. So that is even more honing in to you, right? And then within there, we have ways to measure, because then people always say, well, what about twins? But we have these divisional charts where we can get even more and more precise, like a lens, to like a microscope, to where even sometimes 40 seconds can change these charts. the more we get. So this is one huge difference between Western astrology and Vedic astrology. It's like sun-based, solar-based versus lunar-based. And if you look at the Western calendar, it's solar-based, right? The Gregorian calendar. If you look at the Eastern calendars, all of them, not just in India, they're lunar-based. So now how come I get a lot of people asking me, why is right now in Vedic astrology, Jupiter has just entered into Pisces? But in Western astrology, for example, they're saying Jupiter is entering into Aries. Why is this? You know, it's like completely different. If you have one of those apps on your phone where you can, you know, put in the sky, one of those sky apps, and you can see where the planets are and the constellations are and everything, you will literally see Jupiter in Pisces. So why is the Western Jupiter in Aries? Now, I'll try not to get too advanced. I'll just try and say, you know, quite simply. The Western astrology is based on the, like it's called tropical astrology. So it's based on the solstices. It's based on the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer, where the sun moves on Earth, between summer solstice and then equinox, and then winter solstice, and then equinox. This is the basis. Okay. Whereas Vedic astrology is known to be sidereal astrology, which is fixed on the stars. And this is where the fixed stars or the nakshatras come into place. Because if you think about this, you know, the sun is always moving, it's always shifting, but the stars are fixed. The stars that we use are the fixed stars. So it's sidereally based. And we take into consideration the precession of the equinoxes, right? So the Earth is tilted 23 degrees, right? Here's the pole. And it moves, it has this cosmic wobble, right? The Earth. And it moves through the zodiac. And this is known as the ages. So and it moves backwards. So we're moving from Pisces into the age of Aquarius, right? This is what we're all moving into. It's going backwards. So we consider the movement of this cosmic wobble, and we calculate the precession of the equinoxes into where we see the planets and where the planets actually are in the sky is what we are basing everything off of, not the seasons, not the equinoxes, not the solstices, but exactly where our cosmic antenna from planet Earth is pointing. And from this, we more or less subtract, for those of you who know your Western charts and are a little bit more into it, more or less subtract about 23, 24 degrees now. Because it moves 1 degree every 70 years backwards.
Wow.
So that's the long explanation of the difference.
So that is kind of basically also why you are two different sun signs in Vedic, in Jyotish, or in Western astrology.
Yes. But what I've noticed is that the Jyotish doesn't negate it. You know, a lot of people are very attached to their signs. Oh, I'm a Leo, I'm a, Scorpio, and they're very identified with it. And they don't, some of my clients are like, I don't want to hear that I'm not a Leo, I like being a Leo. And I'm like, no, you'll see. And basically when we do the reading, it's so in tune with so many aspects of themselves. It doesn't mean that they're not a Leo, but it comes out in a way that those traits that they've identified with are still showing up in their chart in a different manner, and most times in a more precise manner. And I've never had a client, I've always had clients go, wow, okay, I can see now how it works, because it's just a different mechanism. It's a different language.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very important to let everyone know that it's not negating your, it's not that you're not a Leo anymore, you know. It just gives you added depth to knowing yourself and how the stars are impacting into.
Yeah, that's how I felt it when I've done some readings, that it's really like, wow, it's really going into details, and it's like, really a blueprint, as you say, of who you are and your life and your past and your future and your, so it's very, beautiful.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting.
I'm curious to hear, what was it that like called you to this knowledge and to Jyotish or to astrology from the beginning?
Well, I've always been very interested in the cosmos and consciousness and what is God and who am I and what are we doing here? What's this all about? You know, it's always been very natural, innate curiosity of mine. And I've always been the black sheep of my family. You know, my family is very Indian, and I'm the first one who was born outside of India from both my parents. And so I feel very fortunate as well. So like I'm a first generation Western woman. And as the firstborn and as a girl, I really had to fight for my independence and my freedom. And I moved away from my culture for a really long time. I rebelled against my culture. And in the end, it's really amazing, actually, because my paternal grandfather was a Jyotish. And my maternal grandfather was very much into yoga and Ayurveda. And in the end, I came back to the Vedas because for my personal, in my opinion, the Vedas, as you know, they're not, it's not a religion. It's a technology. It is a spiritual technology that if you follow, like if you do yoga and if you follow it, you don't have to believe in anything. You will see the result by yourself through practicing what is laid out in front of you. You see it, you see the end result. So in this way, it's a science. It's a spiritual science. You know, you just do what it says and you get there. So I, as an explorer of consciousness and cosmos and God, and with all these questions, I found that the Vedas had very, for me, it's not a dogmatic, you know, theosophy. It's very practical and difficult, but it had some substance to it in that the proof is in the outcome. So then I, you know, I began to study Western astrology, but at the same time, I was traveling a lot. I was in India a lot. You know, I was exposed to, you know, yoga, pranayam, and Ayurveda. And I started with Ayurveda because I saw it working for me, and I wanted to learn more about it. So I dove deeper. And then with Ayurveda, there's like I said, there's one practice of Ayurjyotish, medical astrology. And so I started to learn more about this. And I always knew that I wanted to learn Jyotish because of my grandfather, but to me, it always seemed too mathematical, too complicated. And then I was really fortunate to meet a teacher, and I was like, okay, I love the Ayurveda. I love practicing Ayurveda on myself, just like yoga. But Vedic astrology is what is really my passion. And so I still do the other Vedic practices, and I use it in my coaching. But I find that using Jyotish, you can just see right away what is going on. Where is the block? What is happening? Is it diet that's necessary? Is it pranayama that's necessary? Is it what is it? Vastu, which is like the Indian feng shui, right? Like what is it that this person is needing to bring into their lives? And it's just, to me, so much more direct and so quicker that yeah, I just love dedicating my time. It's just so fast to be able to help people with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How do you feel that it has empowered you in your, as a human being,
I'll tell
or as a
you,
woman?
how did it,
or yeah.
wow, how did it empower me? It's really amazing. And I think all the Vedas do this. It also happened with the Ayurveda. So I'll give you an example with Ayurveda, and then I'll give you an example with the Vedic astrology. But with Ayurveda, wow, okay. So I always thought that I was a hot-headed person, spicy, spicy Indian girl, and hot-tempered and hot-headed, and very pitta. Very sharp, very direct, very, quickly, right? And I was so fortunate to be able to undertake what's known as a panchakarma, which is like the jewel of the Ayurvedic cleanse. Wow. Oh my goodness. Amazing. It's just difficult, but incredible. And during one part of this cleanse, where they collect all the excess doshas, right? We were collecting all the pitta. And then I was the next day, like flush out, do this virechana and just flush out this pitta from my system. And in the night, that night before, I woke up for no reason in the middle of the night, furious. My head was on fire and I was so angry. I was asleep. And I woke up, just wanting to beat somebody. I'm like, this is crazy. And after the Virechna, after the purgation the next day of the Pitta, my entire head, my entire being was so cool, so shanti, so not agitated. And I was like, wow, I always identified as a hot-headed person, but in reality, I'm not. In reality, it's a buildup of the excess dosha that's causing this to happen. It's not me. And through the study of Vedas and through the Vedic astrology, the Jyotish, you start to see the patterns in your life are there and are unfolding. You are not making the mistakes. You cannot go wrong. You cannot go wrong. You're not the doer. So you are just unfolding these karmas and samskaras. And the more you can see, like if I can look at your chart, never have met you before, and tell you all these things, then is it really you that's making these choices and doing this? Or is there something else greater that is leading you? So I see it very much, all of the Vedas, but especially Jyotish, as a path to liberation. Because we blame ourselves. Oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done that. But what if really you shouldn't, and you should have done exactly what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
And you're not making any mistake, and you're not lost, and that you have a purpose and you have a path in this life, and you're supported in it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I remember that when I did my first reading, it was like, yeah, I could see some darker periods that I had in my life, and that there was really, it was really astrological, and it was really like, aha, yeah, okay, so then I understand. And then you can see that it's not about what you do or not do, it's just is supposed to be that way. And
Yes.
from there comes the lessons and
Yes.
the learning and the teachings. Yeah,
Yes.
so it's also
And you're not doing
beautifully
anything
orchestrated.
wrong.
No,
You're not
exactly.
doing anything wrong. And that alleviates so much pressure that we put on ourselves, and that doesn't mean that we're not responsible
Yeah,
either,
exactly. And
right?
when
So
we
it's
know,
kind
we
of
can, you know, balance it out somehow. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So beautiful. I feel I could listen to you the whole day. You're like a waterfall just pouring out. It's beautiful. But I know that we will also go in a little bit to the within this time, the astrological, like what is happening right now in the sky. And you were talking about there is upcoming full moon eclipse.
Yes.
Would you like to tell
Yes.
us a little
Yes.
bit about that?
Yes. I actually, just before we spoke, I did my video on it. And just for those of you who are interested, I do have a YouTube channel, and it's called Visionary Veda. And I'll also post it to Be Woman and the Devi group every full moon and every new moon too. So you could also get it there. But I've been posting on my channel for quite some time, and putting the updates there. And sometimes when it's really a big month of change, like April was a huge month, then I do a whole monthly rundown, just depending on what's happening in the sky. And yeah, so now I just finished the video for this full moon, and this full moon is tomorrow. And so it's coming up, it's just around the corner. Here it's night, so the moon is there, and it's an eclipse. Now, just really briefly, the eclipses, for those of you who follow astrology, are caused by what's known as the North Node and the South Node. And these are not actual planets, but they are points in the sky. Points in the sky where the sun and the moon align, and then the shadow comes in and takes effect, right? In Vedic astrology or Jyotish, the North Node is known as Rahu, and the South Node is known as Ketu. And it's the head of the serpent and the tail of the serpent. And maybe I know that we're going to do some classes here that coming up that I'm super excited about. So maybe one of the classes we could talk about the mythology of what is Rahu and Ketu, because it's a really amazing story and really fun. But in this eclipse, we have Ketu and the moon. And Ketu, according to Vedic astrology, has moved signs. Rahu and Ketu are both 180 degrees opposite each other, right? At all times. And they always move in a retrograde fashion. So they're always going opposite the planetary motions. As the planets are moving forward, they're moving backward, right? So they're always throwing some monkey wrench or something, something strange in the way of the planets, right? So they moved into the axis of Aries, Rahu, and Libra, Ketu. Ketu being the south node is that which contains the seed of our past life deeds. So it's things that it's not out in the open. It's more underneath, working in our subconscious mind. And they are very much affecting the sun and the moon, right? Because they move backwards, and the sun and the moon are the only two planets that never go retrograde. They're always moving forward. They're the luminaries, right? It's the path of the two luminaries, the king, the sun, and the queen, the moon, right? The highest of our planets, meeting and being obstructed. So this full moon is happening in Scorpio, and the moon, like right now, the moon is in Libra. And right before the full moon, it moves just into 1 degree Scorpio. So it's just on the edge, on the cusp. And Scorpio tends to be a very heavy sign for the moon, because Scorpio is the place where things are underground, underneath, in the subconscious realms. And then Ketu, also being a subconscious force, can really bring some of those samskaras, some of those imprints that are operating in us, that are not in our awareness, in our conscious awareness, but actually running us from an unconscious place. This can be activated during this full moon. So for people like us that are wanting to do this work, that want to see, that want to bring this unconscious into our awareness, it's a very, very, very great opportunity to do sadhana and to welcome anything that is down there that wants to be revealed to come up. And more likely than not, it's going to come through other people, because Ketu is in the sign of Libra, which denotes other people. So it can come through your relationship. Your boyfriend or girlfriend might say something and suddenly you're triggered. And you're going to recognize it. You're going to recognize it because it's something old. It's not new. And it's going to feel very familiar. And if you're working with your awareness, you're going to be able to say, okay, I know this story. I know this pain. I know this hurt. And I'm over it. And I don't want to believe this story anymore. He was, or she was just saying something about my dress. He wasn't putting me down, just as an example, but yet I took it personally, or I have an issue with my hair or my this or my that. And so I'm viewing reality through these filters that I'm not even aware that I have. And because in this moon, it's going to trigger me emotionally. Why emotionally? Because it's the moon and it's full. You're going to feel it emotionally. And either it's interesting because the nakshatra, the fixed star that this is happening in, is Vishaka. And Vishaka shows a fork. It can be a forked tongue. It can be a forked path. And we will have the choice this time, if we're working on it, to be able to change this thing that's been running us it could be running us for years. And this full moon, we can see it, we can become aware of it, and we can choose to not react in the same way, but make a new path, go another direction. And this is the last eclipse that's going to happen in the sign of Scorpio, because the nodes have moved. It'll happen again, in another 18 years with Ketu. 18 years. Wow. So whatever comes up during this, it's a blessing. And it's also important to keep in mind that other people that are not necessarily working on their awareness are still going to get triggered. So either you can get triggered, which is very likely, or you can be the reason somebody else is triggered. Don't forget. And if that happens, just don't, just have compassion for that person if they're not seeing it, right? Just remember to have compassion, because it's going to be pretty heavy emotionally for all of us. And it depends now. This is very general, because as you know, with Vedic astrology, we really need to look at your birth chart to see how it's activated. And if you don't mind, I actually have your birth chart.
Yes. Please check
So
it.
we can do a little look at how this would, for example, affect you. Now, just keep in mind that I haven't done a complete analysis, and I haven't done, this is just for the full moon. But do you have it to show?
I have it. Let's see if I can. Don't know exactly. Might have it. Yeah, wait a moment.
So this way I can kind of illustrate how, if you can learn a little bit about your chart, you can sort of see how it's going to affect you personally.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because I guess that's a question for many people, like, how can I see how this affects me in my chart?
Yes, I mean, this is the first step in learning, like, the basics of where the houses are, where it's affecting you. We have to look at what time the dasha you're running, but that gets a little complicated. For now, we'll just look at what area of your chart. And there we go.
There we go. You can see it,
There is
right? Yes.
Julia Devi's chart. And as you can see, her natal moon. So the houses, okay, so you can help me here, okay? With the cursor, Julia, so everyone can see. So in this chart, okay, this is the North Indian chart. It's the diamond chart. And the very first diamond where you see AS, KE, and JP, AS is the ascendant. So in this chart, the first house is the houses are always the same. The signs change. So your ascendant, or your first house, is Cancer. So this full moon, my dear, is going to really affect you. Now, why is that? Why is that?
Because Cancer is the moon sign,
Yes,
right? Moon ruled.
because the Lord of Cancer is the moon. So one thing with the Cancers is that the moon very much affects them, and the moon is the fastest moving planet. So it moves very quickly. So they're affected very deeply, because they're changing all the time. Their emotions are changing all the time. And if you think about that on an emotional level, it's true. Emotions change very rapidly, right? Because it's correlated with the moon. This is going to affect you even more. Why? Why is it going to affect you even more? Because you have Ketu sitting there in your ascendant.
Yes.
And this eclipse is with Ketu and the moon, right? So this is your first house, Cancer. And then the second house is Leo. The third house is Virgo. The fourth house is Libra. The fifth house is Scorpio. And then we're just going to move along. The sixth is Sagittarius. Seventh is Capricorn. Eighth is Aquarius. Sorry, what did I say? Sagittarius, Capricorn. The eighth is Aquarius. And then the ninth house is Pisces. 10th is Aries, 11th is Taurus, and 12th is Gemini. So if you look at the fifth house, Scorpio, and the 12th house, Pisces, right? What do you notice about that? They're all water signs, correct?
Yeah.
And they're also forming a triangle, you see?
Yeah.
It's a triangle.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is known as the trikona, and these are your support structures. This is what supports you. So originally, when we look at this, we know that it's going to affect you very deeply because you're ruled by the moon. Then we see that it's in Scorpio. And if we just say, oh, this full moon is in Scorpio, we would think it's, bad, or it's going to be some, some emotional thing, but in your chart, Scorpio is a support
Mm-hmm.
to your ascendant.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it is that you learn here is going to be very supportive through this full moon. It might not even be painful because it's in a place that helps you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's in the fifth
Yeah.
house. So it could come through your interactions with children, fifth house.
Mm-hmm.
It can come through interactions. It can have to do with children. It can come from your fourth house, right? The Libra, number 7 is your fourth house.
Mm-hmm.
So it can come from somebody at home saying, when are you going to have children? And it triggers you, right? And there's some old wound there that comes up that you weren't ready to look at, that you can sit down and look at it. You know, it could be your mother as well. The fourth house is mother. The mother can trigger you, maybe pestering you about having children or whatever, you know. It can be your own inner being inside, like that. The fourth house is our own inner peace, feeling like, you know what, I feel like maybe I want to have children. And it doesn't necessarily have to be children in the fifth house. It could also be like, you know what, maybe I want to continue my education. Or maybe inside of you, you're feeling like internally, I feel like there's something more I want to achieve. There's something more that I feel like I'm not doing in life. There's some sort of a insecurity around, because Scorpio is a very insecure sign, right? There might be some sort of insecurity about your education. Maybe you feel you haven't studied and
Oh no, now I'm losing you.
and where it's going to come from. Were you able to record all that, or did I get stuck?
I think it's recorded. It was just me
Okay,
who lost
great.
it, but the recording is still going. So
Okay.
good.
Yes. So in this way, we're able to
Interesting.
learn a little bit about ourselves and to see, you know, especially after an eclipse or after some sort of an upset, we can look at our transits, we can look at our chart, see what's being activated, you know, see why we're feeling the way we're feeling, and help to make sense of it a little bit more.
Yeah. So beautiful. And is there something, would you say, when we have a powerful full moon like this, to something we can do, like ceremonial
Yes.
work, or is it more to
Yes.
just watch it or
The best is
aware?
the best is always, always, always to practice some sort of sadhana during the eclipses if you can. For me, for the moon, I always recommend that the Mahamrityunjaya mantra can be recited. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe. Yes. This mantra, if you know it, is a very powerful one. If you don't know it, you can always play it. Usually for the moons, you know, I don't recommend according to the Vedas, you know, this is not a moon to moon gaze. Although, you know, if you'd like to check out the eclipse, it's fine. But if you do check out the eclipse, then make sure to like bathe in water, right? Water is also the moon energy. So make sure you bathe in water, you know, have a bath or have a beautiful shower if you expose yourself to the eclipse, especially before you eat any food. You know, just do a cleansing, a purification before you eat anything. But the main thing is to understand that there's nothing to fear here, right? Everything is an invitation to learn to know ourselves in a deeper way. And we welcome these samskaras to appear to us so that we can grow past them. And I think this lunar eclipse is a very, very powerful one. It's very close, and the moon is in a very precarious position. You know, whenever planets are just moving into a sign, also, they're not at their strongest, even though the moon is full. So just be prepared. And I think as long as you're aware, it's like a weather report, you know, once you're aware, you can navigate through it more effectively in your life. How was that, what I said? Did any of that resonate?
It did resonate. Yeah. I have already started to feel, actually, it's like some building up the last days, very emotional, and not like, not emotional in general, but that sometimes it hits me like some insight that is really moving, especially in the heart. Yeah.
with that Cancer ascendant or lagna. And then when I was just sort of illustrating what the possible triggers or themes could be, were any of those in line with what you've?
Yes, they were. Yeah, I can imagine this. I've been spending a lot of time with my siblings, children, and so children has been a big thing lately. So I can really see that. Yes.
Wow.
So I will take some time to sit with that during this full moon. It's beautiful. Yes. And for those who are wondering, like, how to see their own chart, and so, do you have any tips, or then you go to a consultation, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely first start with a consultation, you know, so that you also get the you get the feel of how it works, you know, you get the feel of how it's read. And then, you know, we were talking about next Saturday for doing a class. And so, you know, we could do, it's my idea, but I'm very flexible. You know, I'd love to get the feedback from the DEVÍS and see what the group is interested in learning. But I'm happy to, you know, do some sort of a tutorial or some sort of a class next weekend, next Saturday, depending on what the DEVÍS would like to learn about. And then if people would like, we could do a few more classes, maybe do a series of 4 or something, where I could talk about one class. We could go over the planets. Another class, we could go over the houses. Another class, we could go over the signs. And then another class, we could go over like the yogas, or like a few combinations and things. And that would be a nice little, and if we can have everyone's charts, you know, everyone can have their charts, and we can have a nice little, we can have a good play with it, you know, just to get your feet wet. If it's something that the DEVÍS would like, I would be.
Yes. So please, DEVÍS, leave your feedback. I will put up a post later today, and there you can kind of wish what you would love to dive deeper into, and if there are any specific topics or questions or things that you would like to Parvati to address, because she has offered this beautiful gift that she will offer a series of 4 classes. So the first will be next Saturday. It will be probably the same time here. I will announce it later on, but there you can really be interactive, and you can really wish what kind of topic that is her wish to wish. What do you want to learn about? Like, she's really here so beautifully. She put it to, she's really here for you and to the service of the goddess of Devi. So I think that is so beautiful, and really to take this opportunity to have a Jyotish, a Vedic astrologer here who really want to help us dive deeper. So take the chance, and you can write in the comments under this video, or you can also, if you're not already, to join the Sisterhood, the Be Woman Sisterhood Facebook group. I will also put it in the comments here on the video. And there you can, I will put a post there, so you can there ask the questions also. Yeah, so really do that. And as you have seen already, she is present a lot in our Sisterhood group, where she's have had these updates monthly, new moon and full moon. Just amazing videos. I love to watch them. So, and now you will be traveling, you said, so you might not do it those as regularly, but when you have the opportunity, you will do them. So you can also check her Facebook page and website. So you do this also, coaching and consultation. I will add it all in the comments, your different social media and channels to contact you. Is there anything more you would like to say? Like, do you have any more upcoming things on the
No, I have so many things going on, but I think like for tonight, I think that was a lot of information. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was easy to understand and digestible. And I'm super excited. I really would love to be of service. And I just love doing these sessions with clients and with people to just, it's just wonderful to see how they come out of these sessions so empowered, you know, and seeing things in a new light. Because remember, this is the science of light, right? It's the science of light. And so it's really truly an honor to be bringing that to the DEVީS. And I love the Be Woman Sisterhood, and I love all of the DEVީS and Sharada. Wow, you guys, whoever is here, you're so fortunate to have a teacher and a mentor and a guide like Sharada. She's really an amazing, amazing soul, and she's doing really beautiful, beautiful, powerful work. So well done, very blessed. And thank you so much for including me. Thank you so much. It's really, really a pleasure and an honor. So I appreciate it. I'm happy to serve.
And so with us today, I know that Nicolina has been. Hi, Nicolina. And Anna. Nicolina says, wow, tears are coming. And many thank you and yes. And so we didn't get any question, only one, because I put a post on Instagram. I don't know if it was a joke question or half joke, half serious, but she was saying, I don't remember who, she was saying, why is it so difficult to be a Capricorn?
That's
I don't know how you can answer that. But
I'll tell you really quickly. It's difficult to be human, first of all, like across the board. And, you know, the Capricorn, every sign has its positives and every sign has its challenges, right? Its gifts and its challenges. I tend not to speak in good, bad language because, you know, there's really no such thing. And Capricorn is very special because it is ruled by the planet Saturn. And the planet Saturn is just a little bit more serious than, let's say, Venus or Mercury, which are lighter or quicker, you know. Planet Saturn sticks to it. Planet Saturn works hard. Capricorn is here to work hard. Why though? Why? Because Capricorn is the karmic sign. So even though your Venusian friends are off, you know, shopping, you know, or your Mercury friends are, you know, chit-chatting or doing, you know, like having a good time and la la la, and you're working, but you are working through so much more on a spiritual level. You're working through it. And that work is its own reward, because you know when you've done a good job that you feel so great. And that's what makes you happy. So I don't know if I've answered that,
I
but
think it was a great answer. Yeah. That makes me understand it at least. Yeah.
that's your magic power.
I will
Stick
send
with
her this class so she can watch
Nice.
it. Beautiful.
Nice.
So thank you so much,
My
Parvati.
pleasure. My
And
pleasure.
we will see more of you already
Yes.
this Saturday. And I'm
Yes.
looking so much forward to that.
Yes, yes, me too. Send your questions, because it's very, very important to me. I really want to serve you. So I want to speak about topics that you want to know about, so make sure to send it in, and then we'll touch on all of that.
Yes, make sure.
Yes.
And take care, everyone, in this intense, emotional full moon eclipse. I will.
Should we finish?
stay
Should we
involved.
finish with the chant like that we open with? Should we finish?
Yes.
Yes. Would you like to lead
Beautiful.
that?
Beautiful.
Yes.
I
Yes.
will.
Yes. Yay.
So we will chant together, and all the you at home as well, 3 times to Ganesha and 3 times to Devi. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Devyai Namaha. Om Devyai Namaha. Om Devyai Namaha. Thank you so much, Parvati. And thank you all of you who are watching at home or are watching after. This video will still be there. Have a beautiful day or evening. You will go to sleep now, Parvati, because it's midnight in California where you are. And I will just start my day here in Italy.
Enjoy your day, my dear, and happy full moon to everybody. And write and let us know how it was for you too. I love to hear how it was for you. So be blessed. Stay blessed. Okay. Thank you.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.